Hello everyone and welcome to FSK MMA Podcast number 5. Today it's a little bit different. I'm here joined by myself, I haven't got anyone else with me. But today in this episode we're going to be talking about how FSD went from, FSK went from like a small new team that no one ever knew in the UFC 4 community to one of the biggest ones in the scene. It started really a long time ago, but I'll put a little bit of backstory in before FSK started. So I got into the community through looking for a group. I used to play Rocket League. So on Rocket League, what you do is you looking for group for trade. So I was on UFC once, and I thought, I wonder if people use looking for a group. So then I had a look in there, and I seen someone was like LFC tryouts, top esports team, all that. So I thought we'll give it a try because I played UFC quite a bit. I always thought I was all right at the game. Didn't think I was the best, but I thought I was not the worst. So then I messaged, done a little tryout with him. He was like, yeah, you're good, you can join the team. So then I joined him, and then through the team, some of them started getting me into like prime time, doing some league fights there. But what I didn't know is LFC was a cheesy camp. I just thought that was like just a part of the way of the game, and so I played like a normal person. And they always like cheeses, looking for RNCs and stuff like that. So then once I realised that after a while, I then decided to leave and make my own because I wanted to make the decisions myself. I wanted to have control of everything because there were asking stuff that they was doing where it could be better and it wasn't up to me. So then I created FSK. So then if we go to this here, so I'll pop it up on screen now. So the 8th of April 2021 was the day FSK was created. So it's over a year ago. It's coming up to like nearly a year and a half, really. So I'll pop up the original roster now as well. So the original roster, I mean, it is nothing like it is now. So you had myself on there. We had Cryptic. Cryptic was one of my good friends in LFC. He was one of the people I was very sour with, partied with him a lot. So when I opened FSK, he come with me. We had Holyfield as well. You know what? I'll be honest with you, I can't remember where Holyfield came from. I think he might have been in LFC at one point. We had Thai basics. It was unranked. One of the cleanest striking styles was always dead nice and respectful. So when I started FSK, I was like, I want him. Messaged him. He was down. He joined. RJCB, when I used to fight quickfight a lot, I become friends with him through them. When I started FSK, I was like, I wanted him part of it because we're good friends, obviously. And then Milky Joe. I honestly, I can't even remember where Milky Joe came from. Um, I think I'd seen him doing well in leagues and stuff like that. I fought him on ranks a few times. So then I didn't see he was in the camp, so I messaged him. I was like, oh, do you want to join? So that was this. That was the roster. So I had quite a lot of good people around me. So we had a good friend in Cryptic who came from LFC, Holyfield who we knew of, Basics as well. We was always in parties. RJCB. We was always good friends well in parties. So we always had a lot of good people around me from the start who helped me build it to what it is. And at the start as well, it wasn't just like my decision, so it was everyone in the camp just voting on stuff as well. So at the start we was like UK exclusives for about 6 months or something like that. So that was down to everyone in the camp. Like it was just like a lot of good people around me. So then, like, as time went on, I always tried to get everyone competing in prime time leagues like that as well. And then not long into it, the 19th of April 2021, we had our first main event in an affiliate league of like the SFL, so it's quite a big league. So it was Milky Joe fighting Great Miss. Great Miss was quite big around the community then. Obviously, he had his own YouTube channel, so it was quite a big deal. We had myself in the co-main as well, fighting BSE Pudgy, was another one who was quite well known in prime time. So like, yeah, it's like right now that looks like nothing. Having a main event and a co-main event in prime time, but back then, if you're just a new camp, not long started, a main event for us was massive because then people seeing the FSK name in the title, in the co-main event, the main event, so then obviously people start to say no, if you like that as well. So I mean, just things like that. That's like a massive milestone really for the camp as well. Obviously, in that one, Joe came up short slightly. I won. But it just puts like your name out there a little bit. So it was just always things like that. What I wanted to be able to compete, and then our name went bigger and bigger and bigger. 11 days later, it's near enough 2 weeks. So what ESFL used to do, they used to do affiliated network cards. So all the affiliate leagues, it's like Primetime, IXC. So they'd basically send in all the best people who doesn't have a competitor role, put them on this card, and then you can all compete, and then that's where scouts can take notice. So in this one, myself and Milky Joe was in the main and the core-main event again. I fought NFN X Draco, who he was someone who was in LFC with. I was good friends with him, done about 20 fights when I was in LFC. So that one, it was like quite a big fight because obviously we knew each other. And then Milky Joe as well, he fought Love for MMA, who I think it's GSP has got on PS as well. We both got wins there, both looked very, very dominant. So I mean, the SFL, it's a bigger stage, so for have that on, like what was broadcasted on the SFL, that was massive for us at the time as well. Then the next bit as well. So I'm sure everyone who's watching this will know of BFAT Trickster being kind of labelled as the GOAT as primetime. So Trixie went on like a 20 fight unbeaten streak. So Joe in this one, he lost a great miss. He came back and then he fought Trixie as well. He put up a good fight. He lost in it as well. But just to get in like a title fight with Trixie at that time was quite a big deal. So obviously when people had just seen us in a main event and then going to a main event in like an ESFL affiliate league card and then main eventing against Trixie for the title, I mean it was quite a big deal. It just puts other people on notice as well. Shortly after this one as well, this is kind of like a bigger milestone. So we had Desire and Competitor both join FSK. Obviously because when people are seeing it, then they take notice and they want to join. So Desire was in CMF. He then left there, and obviously we said he'd left, so he was like, right, come and join. So he is very good, very talented, and then Competitor. He just followed me on Twitter one day. I had a look through some of his clips. I was like, it looks alright. So I asked him, do you want a couple of fights? He was like, yeah, fine. Add some fights. I was like, I want to get him in. So he was only new to the game, but he had like a lot of potential you could see. So then I was like, yeah, he joined, and then when he joined, he was like, because all the logos I was doing myself on Photoshop, and like they're not the best as you can see. So then Comp basically joined, and he was like, I'm a graphic designer, I can make you a better logo for you. So then the one on the left, the Desire one, he made all them for everyone. I couldn't find the one of himself that he done, but everyone had one like that. So it was basically like that with Competitor, and then that was what our roster was. So Holyfield obviously left because he wasn't really the most active. And Cryptic left because everyone else wanted it to just be UK exclusive. He didn't feel like he fitted in the best, so I had to go with what the people wanted in the camp. Really, I wouldn't have minded him to stay. But it's just decisions like that, really, because if I kept him, I don't think other people would have been happy, and then that might have caused them to left. So, yeah, and that happened. And then a month later, so this was before the ESFL came back. Before the ESFL came back, they had a big tournament called the ESFL Roster Rumble. In this, it was 16 grey names. The winner of it got a competitor role. And Milky Joe was always kind of known around the scene as a good player, but I'd say this was kind of like my breakout. Obviously, Joe had his in like the prime time fight against Trixie, people like that. But in this one, so I came in, I fought, who was it the first round? Biggie. Biggie in the first round, beat him 2-0 out of the best of three. Then fought Mikey Boy, who, if people watch the tournament, they've seen his submissions and they was very suspect. And he had terrible ping as well. So I got straight through him, won a 2-1 versus him. Then I'm in the semi-finals, and then Roger's X-Ray, known as B3 Zach now. In the first fight, I was absolutely smoking him, and he got a look. And then he started clinch spamming us, and then in the clinch, I was just punching him, and then off the clinch break, he just pulled one of my hooks, and then just hit me with a pull elbow, and then just finished me against the cage. And then he got like a similar lucky one as well in the second fight. But because of how well I'd done that, a lot of people then took notice to myself. So that then boosted the reputation of FSK. And shortly after this one as well, this is in September, so it's a couple months later. But obviously, in this time, we always had like big fights in prime time, title wins in IXC as well. So it wasn't like we was doing nothing. It was just that they become more of a normal thing. So I'm not going to put them up. But a couple of months later, Tadpole, one of the most well-known people within the community at that time, everyone knew who Tadpole was, joins FSK. And then Desire goes, you know what, I've got a PC, I'm going to try and do some graphic design. He then creates the logo that you're seeing there. So everyone had this cool gamer pick design. With that, Tadpole joins, so it was a way we released both. And then because Tadpole joins, who's a big guy in the community, a lot of people then take notes. Then we had Tadpole, AJ guy, who was knocking on the door for a competitor role as well within the SFL, done a lot of good fights on ranked as well, put some good numbers in there. He had competitor who was always improving as well, coming up to like being one of the top prospects within the game. He had Desire, ESFL competitor, the only one that we had, and then myself. So obviously a lot of people leave around that time. Some people join. It's just always part of the camp. It's just when people leave, you got to make sure you come back stronger. So then with Tadpole joining around that time as well, because of the scouts, what they seen me do in the roster rumble and leagues like Prime Time, I then got gifted a competitor role, luckily. So then you have myself, Tadpole, Desire, all have competitor roles, and then starting from something who none of us were competitors at all, none of us even thought about being in the SFL, and then to like having 3 of us in, big names kind of thing, good logo, got a Twitter page now. So me, camp was then becoming more and more known within the community. So then I think it was a week later, FSK made the actual ESFL debut. So that was me and Tadpole both fighting. I fought Noetta, who won the ESFL roster rumble. I come up short in that one. Tadpole fought Otto, I think it was. He lost in that one, so we both lost. But on there, Jamie Bucks beat Doctor. And me and Tadpole on the party time, I was like, yeah, let's get Jamie Bucks in. So then invited him to the party, and then ended up getting him to join. So then Jamie Bucks was one of the bigger people within the camp around this time. So the week after this one, well, the next ESFL event. So this one was quite a big one really. So FSK have their first ESFL wins. So in this one, I fought Haroon, I think it was. Even though we done terrible in the ESFL, Haroon wasn't actually that bad. It was quite a good win. Who else was there? So then we had Tadpole. He beat Sandman, so Tadpole got his first ESFL win with FSK. And then we had Jamie Bucks. When Jamie Bucks joined and the ESFL signups went up, he called out Noetta because Noetta beat me. He avenged me against Noetta, and around that time as well, Kezelard also joined. So now we've got a couple of ESFL competitors. We're doing well. We're getting wins, and then with that one as well that Jamie Bucks done, he earned himself. When it loads, he earned himself a main event. So this was a title eliminator versus Got It in My Piggy, who was like one of the best players in the world at that time. So when he got that, that was like massive. We'd now got a main event from. I mean, just making our debut a few weeks ago. AJ Guy, when I got my competitor role as well, he got his at the same time. So we both got him through scouts. So on the prelims, we had me versus. Hang on. So if I fought Haroon, no, I didn't fight on the other one, did I? No. So this was where I got my first ESFL win. So I beat Haroon. Then the fight after that one, AJ Guy made his debut, beat EK Issues, and then Keza made his FSK debut and beat Ajin. So we had 3 FSK wins in a row on the prelims, which was quite cool. And then later on in the night, obviously Jamie Bucks fought Got It My Pig. Obviously with him being one of the best players in the community around that time. He come up short in that one, but obviously just the main event, it was massive. Our name was in the title on the streams, so that was great for the camp. And then around this time as well, Desire, who'd done the previous logos, had become quite inactive. So then getting logos for new people, it was kind of like a challenge, or if we wanted to, have a kind of newer design, it's kind of a challenge. So then I got one made. I wish I have it here to show, but I don't actually have it. But competitor went and got a new logo, got some graphics that was like up there for the best of the community. You can see it there. So I mean, it becomes onto one of the most recognisable within the community. Obviously with a D instead of the K now, but it's still kind of the same. So that then went on to being like the main one. When we announced all this as well, we had Optics join. Optics was like he was a good friend of Fadinator. That's what a lot of people knew him as, Mini Fadinator. She was one of the top prospects within the community, and when he joined, it was kind of, when we announced it on Twitter, it was honestly laughed at. Um, and then he ended up becoming on like primetime champion. He'd beat people like Dabican, Dirty Dave in comp fights, beat Caliber in primetime. He'd beat Trixie in primetime for the belt. So that's all things that Optics done. So when we got him in, and then like he ended up becoming into like one of the better players. Obviously he's not here now, but around that time, getting Optics in, and then what he went on to was like great for the camp. That one then with the new logo, and then because of the new logo as well, everyone sees it. It looked class from the outside, all the new logo, everything. So then with that, TD had a little fall apart at that time. EK had a little bit of a falling around. Then obviously we swooped in. So Free Piece and Fadinator both joined first. A couple of weeks later, like a week or something later, Jakey joined from EK because EK had that big fallout. A lot of them went back to BFAP, and then Jakey joined FSK, and then Gamp as well joined after the TD split. So you've got a former SFL champion in Gamp. You've got Jakey, who is one of the most well-known players in the community. We always seen him going like undefeated in the SFL seasons, going 3-0, things like that. Fadinator, one of the best players, always high on ranked. He just fought Zaya for the belt as well. Come up short in that one. And then Free Piece as well. He was relatively unknown, but was one of the best players on the game, if not around that time. So then, around that time in December as well, Fadinator had his second title shot for himself, but the first FSK ESFL title shot. On that one, he fought Blake Tyler, who is like the GOAT. He actually won the GOAT tournament, so you can class him as it. Come up short in that one, but it kind of then leads later on down the line where we seen him beat Trixie. So obviously come up short versus Aya, come up short versus Blake, and then that kind of made him into the fighter what he is. And then he ended up performing in league fights, which was great. On the card as well, we seen Kez beat Noeta. Around that time, Kez's run in the SFL, he was just looking so good. And then we seen Jeremy Bucks beat Intro, which was a big win for himself because after the Got It My Pig loss, he then lost a couple. So then that was his first like win since then. So that was a big one for himself, really. And then after that one, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it is. So then that was the 11th of December, around a month later. But around this time, we did announce it that we was doing it. So then we done the FSK Primetime Invitational. So the tournament was streamed by Primetime, but we set it up. We put the prize money in. We got all the players involved, done all the brackets, everything like that. So the actual was a tournament video by Henry Cejudo, so we promoted it for us, which was quite sick. Obviously, when that video was going around on Twitter, that obviously got a lot of interactions. A lot of people was very like entertained with it. So I mean, just to do this because it was outside of the esports and things like that, it's probably the biggest tournament that has happened in the UFC full time. I mean, it was a great tournament. You some matchups like Jamie versus Blake Tyler in round one. Um, that tournament, it was so good. And then Free Piece went on to win it. Well, we say win it, but it was controversial in the end. If you ever want to watch that one, it's on Primetime's YouTube channel. If you want to watch it, Paxel, just search in Primetime FSK Invitational, and you should find it. So I mean, that was a fun one to do. That was like massive for the camp, really. But for this, around this time, I ended up getting working because this was around the time when like you're in college, but you're looking for a job. So I ended up getting a job, and I knew that I couldn't do everything how I used to do it. So then I invited Comp and Tadpole to like a leaders thing. Then they became co-leaders, and then it was Comp who brought it up. Let's do a tournament. So then when we figured out, right, let's do a Primetime. Primetime's one of the biggest leagues, and then it turned out to be great. With that as well, I'm just thinking, yeah. So I'll pop it up now. So that's right then. So then I'm going forward, but I'm going to go back. So then a month later, we done one partnered with the ESFL and Primetime. So this was streamed by Primetime, exactly the same on their YouTube channel. but it was partnered with the ESFL, so the winner of this got a comp roll, and then we also put money up as well for a prize. So it was great to do something where all of the, not the established people, get to play for a tournament, get to play for money, get to play for a comp roll. So it was great to put this on. On this one, we had Mike Goldberg as well doing a promotional video for the tournament. So that one was a great one to do as well. Around this time as well, we also had the new gamer picks that dropped. So this was one that we went and got by Grizz or Geese Effects on Twitter. I'm sure a lot of people know who he is. So then he created this. So then this is for everyone who had one. And then J Robbo joined this time as well. J Robbo was doing great on ranked, ESFL, things like that. So it was great to have him in as well. So then really like it's becoming all the best players in the community as well. We all got some of the best graphics doing tournaments that no one else was doing. So like obviously from where it was just under a year ago to what it was like a big massive change really. And then so obviously between this one and the next one there is quite a lot of gaps. So the next one is the 24th of April. From February, but this is because like just ESFL wins, ESFL main events, stuff like that, primetime belt wins, it become more of a standard thing. So this was stuff we'd do a lot of the time, and it wasn't really something to do as like a slide. But on the 24th of April, this was like one of my favourite nights really within FSK. 24th of April 2022, we had our first ESFL champion. Obviously, we had Gamp, but he wasn't actually an ESFL champion with FSD. He was a champion who joined, so it wasn't like one that we had. So I mean, Fad was he went on a monster run. So he beat like Deco. That finish was unbelievable. He beat Dirty Dave after that one. It was, I mean, that finish as well. He got the jumping round kick, which was class. He then beat Dabican as well. That was a great fight, and then he went on to beat Trixie as well. But Fad, what he done around that time as well, he literally carried FSK to what it was then. And that profile picture there as well, that is one that Fad got for being the SFL champion, so it was one I got custom made for him as well, so he got that little one. But the main event as well, it was him versus Trixer. A lot of people will know Fad's history with Trixer. Obviously they fought in prime time a lot, Trixie becoming out the winner in a lot of them. So it's kind of a big win for Fad to get that win over Trixer, and obviously a bigger win for the ESFL title. It was FSK's first ESFL title, Fad's first ESFL title. So I mean, I honestly couldn't get much better around that time as well. And then a month or so later, so obviously Fad then defended his title a couple of times. But a month later, it's ESFL 150. So in this one, Fad defended his belt twice in one night. At first, he beat Trixie, his arch rival, smashed him. It wasn't even close. He absolutely demolished him. And I remember him saying it the other night. That was one of his better performances. What do you think? And then he beat Dave as well. Defended his title twice in one night. ESFL 150, biggest stage. Literally cemented himself as one of the best players in the world. Arguably the best, in my opinion. So I mean, just doing that, just to close out the season in that way, I mean, from Fad, I mean, it just cemented us to have like the best player in the game. So obviously then the reputation from what it was to what it then is now, I mean, it's just massive. So then after the ESFL season finished, there was obviously whenever ESFL finishes that gap where it's really prime time, the only league that's doing events. But then we thought, you know what, let's do another tournament. So all the other ones, they'd been streamed on prime time, but we was the one doing it. But this one we done ourselves. So from the 28th of June to the 2nd of July, we held our own tournament broadcasted on the FSK YouTube channel. If anyone wants to go back and watch any highlights of it, it is on our YouTube channel, so you can always go and find it there. They have a unique system, so from the Monday to the Friday, no, it was the Tuesday from the Friday. I've wrote it wrong on there. So he done group stages, so there was 2 groups every night, 3 people in each group. The winner of each group then went into playing to the finale, and there was 8 people guaranteed a spot in the finale. So I mean, the way how the tournament was interesting, because there was some people who got into the last 16 who won for forts, like in the group stages. We all recognised him as one of the best players in the game, but we had J Robo beating like Yadar, who people consider Yadar as one of the best players in the community, for Robo to beat him. Who else did we have? we had Noetta beating Caliber and Aaron. Like Caliber was off his win, well, off his close fight with Fad in the SFL. So a lot of people thought Caliber was going to steamroll that one. So I mean, just the process of it, really, and Optics as well. Optics beat Dave as well. That was the one I was talking about before. It was in the group stages to get into the 16. And then the finale, it was great. I mean, all the graphics, everything was done by myself. I mean, it was great to see how it turned out. It was a good one to watch. I mean, the viewers on it, it didn't do as good as it should have. But after the fight, it was only streamed on YouTube, and I found out if you stream it on YouTube and you don't put UFC 4 in, there's nowhere for people to find it. So it was just like FSK, such amount money tournament, and then no one found it. But if I put UFC 4 in there, it would have been found a lot easier. It would have done a lot better views, which was painful looking back. But I mean, it's just part of stuff you learn. So then after the tournament, there's rumours of the ESFL season is going to move to team based. So around this time as well, Comp spoke to people in TD, and like he then kind of agreed a deal that we was going to merge with TD for the ESFL season. So then this then formed the Flow State Dons, what it is now today. So in there you've got Holloway, one of the highest contenders on ranked every season. You've got Jamie, UFC 4 GOAT. You've got Ash, E-League champion as well. So I mean, when that, you've got some of the best players within the community now representing. We've got Fad in there as well, doing what he done. We've got Kez in there. Obviously, Kez had #1 contender fights in the SFL, well known as well. Got Pete as well, Robbo, who beat Blake Tyler, the GOAT, in that tournament as well. So I mean, from now, what it was, so we've literally got someone in Jamie who's labelled as the UFC 4 GOAT, and then you've got Fad, who's probably the best player on the planet. You've got you can literally run out of names. You've got Ash as well. Ash is arguably the best as well because he beat Fad in that tournament. So then you end up going on to the most recent thing as well. So the 4th of September, the past weekend, the FSD made the ESFL debut, beating VFAT 2-0. Get up there. Obviously, you've seen the watch along on our YouTube channel. If you want to go back and watch it, it is there. But yeah, I mean, to do that as well, the way how we done it, Fad smashing Zayath. No block glitch was working for you that day, so bosh, have that one. For Jamie to beat Dave in the way how he did as well, because he stepped in late notice. Holloway, you're an idiot because we could have lost that because of you picking heavyweight. And then obviously we lost the third fight because we didn't care because we'd already won. But yeah, so I mean, obviously with the ESFL going to what it is now, it's more camp based. A lot of people come into the community and like, I'll just use Bang Bang as an example. Bang Bang started his camp and he was like, he'd fought for the title in the ESFL. He had the primetime belt. He'd been 8OX champion. So people will look at the Bang Bang camp and think like it must be hard to create a camp if you've not got the reputation. But obviously from FSK to FSD, what has happened with it? It's literally started from nothing. So it just shows like if you get the right people around you and make the right decisions, you can get to that. Because I mean, some people who probably join the community now and don't even know what FSK was, you probably think it's always been a top level camp like that, but it hasn't. It literally, if you make the right decisions, get the right people in, try and market yourself as just things like that, it literally can get it to what it is now. So I mean, stuff that hasn't been on there. So we done the F1 League as well. The F1 League was one of the most fun things that we done. So we done 3 of them, I think it was. I mean, that was very, very fun to do. We done the charity card as well. So with what was going on in Russia and Ukraine, we held a charity card with all the money that was raised within the stream going towards helping. I think it was Oxfam, and it was helping children in Ukraine. So that was a fun thing to do. Obviously, we had primetime championships with like Optics, Fad, and they both won it. What else have we got? We got the TikTok as well. We got the YouTube channel, what it is now. We got the Twitch. So obviously we'll stream on Twitch sometimes as well. So I mean, it just shows that like you don't have to be a big name to start a camp because this was literally started from nothing. So if you're looking to just ESFL with what it is now, it might be like this for a season, it might go back to what it is next, and then it might be teams again next season. If you want to compete in the SFL, you have to create a team, and if you can't join one, no one's letting you in. It is entirely possible you can create something that is like one of the biggest like FSK has done. Because I mean, you can actually start from nothing and build your way up if you make the right decisions. So it just shows you can do it. But yeah, I mean that's it as well. In not this weekend, next weekend, we're back again. So like the partnership with Vex as well. I forgot about that. We're partnered with Vex, so I mean, we kind of some of our fighters they'll compete for Vex, so just get game time for themselves. Um, and then we got some of the Vex members running our TikTok as well. So Bossman's a G with it. So that's just a great thing to be able to help out. So like I know some of the people in Vex kind of new to the community, like Pabs is an example, so it's great to help him out. It's great to do that. But I don't know what else there is much more. So obviously we've done just massive things really within the community. So from what it was to what it is now, it's just great to see how it's turned out. So if anyone is looking to start a camp, if you just make the right decisions, just smart with it, you can make it to a very, very good standard with what you want to be. Obviously, I haven't put them all on here but there's been times when like we've had about 4 people leave at once. So there was like Keza, Gamp, Chris, and someone else who I can't remember. Desire, I think it was, all left at the same time. So there's always going to be times where it's going to be a little bit tough. A lot of people leave, it looks like you're down. And it's like, well, what's the point really? There's no real coming back through. But if you're just strong, you can stick through it. You can make it still work. It doesn't really matter if people leave. That will always happen with what it is because no one's like contract obligated to play for you. But yeah, that's the end of it. Anyone, just keep it strong, make the right decisions, and you can make something like we have. I've never mentioned it on any video, but you can just like leave a like, subscribe. Let's just try and push it. Let's try and get it as big as it is, because the more people who support it, the more attention UFC 4 gets, and then it just means the scene's just a lot better in general. So let's just try and push everyone else as well. We see BFAP on Twitch doing things. We see Zyaf on YouTube posting stuff like that as well. So let's just all try and push each other, you know what I mean, and make the community as best as we can. And obviously creating camps and stuff like that, that does it as well. So yeah, that's it from us. Well, us, I mean me. But yeah, thank you all for watching. It's been great. If anyone's helped out in any way, thank you with what FSK was to FSD. Like Milky Joe example, what he done in the early days. I mean, if he doesn't do that, camp probably isn't what it is now. So yeah, if anyone's helped out, thank you in any way. Thank you for watching if you have stayed till now. But yeah, please like, subscribe, and then we'll see you on the next one.